So today I want to talk about something that it's been kind of brewing online, and it seems like it's getting worse and worse as the days go on, and trying to pit some fictional war between Digital Foundry and the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm going to be talking about this probably in a manner that you might not necessarily expect me to be talking about this. Now, Digital Foundry, let's be clear. I'm not friends with these people. I'm sure we've crossed paths before. I don't know if they know me. I know of them, of course, because they are a large, website with a bit of a finger on the technical side of video games. But this isn't because like I'm friends with these people or anything that I'm talking about this today. It's just kind of how information has been put out there and how people are digesting the information and what they're doing with that information that I find to be very, very complexing about this whole situation. So Digital Foundry, in case you are living under a rock, they basically are a very technical standpoint of video game analysis. They're not necessarily even really focusing on the games themselves. They're focusing on the technical aspects of the games. They have some machines and stuff like that that allow them to do, frame rate analysis, visual fidelity analysis, resolution analysis, stuff that you or I, the common person, doesn't really have access to. So they kind of over time started becoming bigger and bigger. I remember when Digital Foundry was kind of in its earlier stages on YouTube and on the internet and stuff like that. Like, they were a conversation point, but they weren't a focal point. And as time has gone on, now it's like, well, what does Digital Foundry have to say about this tech analysis? Because I can't decipher it on my own. Now, Digital Foundry, and no fault to them, by the way, because they're doing the same thing that they've always done. But now it's looked at like, oh, well, this version of the game dipped down to 59 frames per second for a half a millisecond. And so that means the 60 frame per second version of the game is better. It's become console war fodder. It's not about necessarily, how the game looks and how the game runs. It's more so about, well, which version is better? So I can say that my piece of plastic, because I can only afford one, that my piece of plastic is better or worse than the other piece of plastic. It's become very bizarre. And with their Nintendo Switch 2 analysis, they have, said some interesting things. I know the PS4 power level has been floating around out there that a lot of people, got offended by and stuff like that. And I actually talked about that in a video because obviously, it's kind of a bit of a short-sighted statement, in a sense, in a purely, technical perspective of that. If you are comparing, raw power, then sure that there's probably a lot of similarities. But of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 has new technology in it. It has new, it has G-Sync in it. It has, up to 120 frames per second. It's got HDR. It's got, DLSS and stuff like that. So in theory, in just terms of raw technical specifications, yes, you could probably make a case that it is similar to a PS4, but it's not in theory, it's about in execution. It's what the developers are able to do with that. So automatically, because of that, people are like, oh, Digital Foundry. These people are no good. These people are trying to besmirch the Nintendo Switch 2. And it's like, no, they're giving an opinion. And of course, there's been more controversy around this. The Cyberpunk 2077 version for the Nintendo Switch 2. They said initially that they did not think there was any DLSS in the game, but then CD Projekt Red came along and said, no, there is DLSS in the game. So once again, people are going to dogpile on them. Oh, you were wrong about this. You were wrong. And it's like, okay, it was a wrong analysis of the footage that they were looking at, the same footage that all of us were looking at. Once they got hands-on with the game, they recently just did a hands-on preview with some stuff. Then they amended, they corrected themselves at least, and you can't you can't say that they didn't do that, because they did. They said, hey, you know what, this was wrong. There's DLSS in the game. Cool. And then we have the Yakuza 0 situation, which is something that I'm not even sure we have a definitive answer on right now, because initially with Yakuza 0, Good Vibes Gaming said that they spoke with a Sega representative at a hands-on event, and that the Sega representative told them that the game would be at 4K 60 in docked mode. According to Digital Foundry, the game is at 1080p 60 frames per second in docked mode, based on what they experienced with the game. So right now it's a very he said, she said sort of situation, that unless Sega themselves comes along, because obviously, you know, a representative can misspeak. They can say something incorrect. Good Vibes Gaming might have misremembered something from this. I'm not saying that Good Vibes Gaming is wrong. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying Digital Foundry is wrong. I'm not saying Digital Foundry is right. Do you see what I'm getting at here? These are all people giving analysis on stuff when it comes to the technical side of things. Things that, realistically speaking, 90% of people shouldn't care about. You know, Digital Foundry, I always say with them, I don't hate what they do. I like what they do. It is somewhat interesting to me. Initially, it was interesting. It was new. It was different. But as time has gone on, people have weaponized what Digital Foundry reports. People have accepted what Digital Foundry reports as gospel. And then if they manage to get something incorrect, then it's like, oh, well, this is the Antichrist. You know, they're going on a smear campaign for the Nintendo Switch 2 with misinformation. I cannot stand some of these Nintendo Twitter accounts and these Nintendo YouTubers who keep talking about misinformation over and over and over again. And it's like, bro, look at your channel. You have misinformed people for years. And at least with places like Digital Foundry, at least with places that have somewhat of a bit of a reputation to them, they will admit if they are wrong about something. They will take the L. They will say, hey guys, you know what? We were wrong about that. Here is the actual information. You can't really say a lot of other people that are the ones that are so quick to crucify this information, that because of people like you have given so much power to this information, yet you won't correct your own mistakes. And it's a very dangerous cycle, man. It's a very dangerous mentality to have. I honestly, people, I don't think that there's any websites out there. Look, if you honestly Jesus Christ, if you honestly think that there are people and websites and places out there that are that want the Nintendo Switch 2 to fail so much, they want it to be terrible, they don't want it to be successful because of some weird agenda, you are an idiot. Because newsflash, people, if this system is successful and people are excited for it and people are wanting information on it, then that makes more money for these content creators. That makes more money for these websites because more people are learning about this. You think people were rushing to websites and YouTubers for Wii U news coverage? For Wii U game looks? No. Trust me, I know. I was there, bro. I was there on Nintendo Enthusiast. I was there making the YouTube videos. I was there writing the articles. When things are more successful, people get excited for them more so. So stop with this madness that there's an active smear campaign against the Nintendo Switch 2 and the journal. Like I'm defending journalists right now. That's how bizarre this is. I'm having to defend journalists because of insane fanboys and insane fanboy theories that have to be coming from children. Anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts on it. And you know what? If your thoughts are completely different, that's fine. At the end of the day, these are all people. People make mistakes. There was one dude that didn't make mistakes, and then they killed him. And then he came back on Sunday and brought me some Cadbury eggs. Thank you, Jesus. I guess really grandma bought me the Cadbury eggs, but what are you going to do? Anyways, guys, give me your thoughts in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video because I honestly had fun making this and getting all of this off my chest because I just think this is it's just such a weird situation. It's such a weird situation how people are treating this like literally like a war, like a culture war. It's like, bro, what the fuck has video games become? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, share. Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you think there is an active smear campaign against this system, I need you to cite some sources. I need you to write a nice 3-paragraph minimum explanation. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.